All right, we are covering the last lesson, chapter 8, section 4. You guys are taking your test on Wednesday. All right, this is the last section. Please pay attention for this one. Triangle proportionality theorem. This entire chapter is on similarity and proportions. We are going to be writing similarity statements two different ways, and you have to know both ways. Okay, these are a little different. They're very similar to what we've been covering. So I'm going to show you both ways. So it says, if a line parallel to one side of a triangle intersects the other two sides, then it divides the two sides proportionally. So they're giving me my statement. They're telling me what's parallel and what's not parallel. Looking at this one, it's saying that EB is parallel to DC, so I'm drawing my parallel signs. It's already giving it to you, so you don't necessarily have to draw it. Looking at it, if they're parallel, then it's telling me that AB and BC is proportional to AE and ED. Okay, they're proportional. There's another way I can write this, and you have to know both ways. So please make sure you're writing all this down, because it's an easy grade just by copying, which you guys are more than capable of doing. So another way you can write this is AE over AB. So now I'm doing the top triangle is proportional to the bottom half of my triangle. I'm not adding A and D. I'm just writing ED over BC. Okay, and I know that sounds confusing, but as I get into the examples, you'll see what I mean by we're not adding them. So these are two ways I can write my proportion, and please make sure you understand that. You need to understand if they are parallel, then they're proportional. All right, going to the next slide. Converse of triangle proportionality theorem. Converse means it's flipped. It's switched. If you need me to go back, I'll go back after. All right. If a line divides two sides of a triangle proportionally, okay, a line divides two triangles proportionally, then they're parallel to the third side. Okay, so what does that mean? Again, converse is switched. So I'm starting with what's proportional. AB and BC is proportional to AE and ED. If they're proportional, then I proved that these are parallel sides. Again, I can write this as AE over ED. Oh, they already gave it to me that way, so I'm going to write it the other way. AE is proportional to AB, and ED is proportional to BC. Why can I write it two ways? Please pay attention to this. If I were to cross multiply these, so I'm going to highlight it. If I were to cross multiply BC and AE, and I were to cross multiply this section, they're the exact same thing. Okay, AE times BC, and same thing with this side. If I were to multiply AB and ED, it's the same thing if I were to cross multiply it here. So that's why I can write it two different ways. All right, example number 1. If they're giving me CD and DA, how would I write what's proportional to it? Good. CE and EB. All right, if they were to give me CE over CD, how would I write my other side? If they were to give me CE over CD is proportional to what? Good. EB and DA. Perfect. Good. All right, so again, you have to know how to write those two ways, because if you're given one way or the other on your test, you need to understand how to write the other proportion. right, looking at B, labeling. I'm going to do it in, we'll do it in purple. If CD is 3, so I'm going to write here 3, and DA is 6, DE is 3.5, and AB is, I don't know. I need to solve this. We are solving this the same way we've been solving for the past 2 lessons. Okay? I cannot solve it and just write the sides. I'm going to show you the difference between B and C. So how I'm solving it, draw 2 triangles if you need to. So I have CE and D. I have 3 and 3.5. And then I have X. And what would my side be? What would this AC side be? Good. 6 plus 3. And that's going to give me 9. So now I need to set it up as a proportion and solve. So I'm going to do B right over here. I'm going to set it up as right over left, 9 over 3, which could be simplified to 3 over 1. Okay, is the same as my 9, I have an X over 3.5. What do I have to do next? Good, cross multiply, X equals 3 times 3.5, and what's 3.5 times 3? 10.5 would be my answer. All right, that is for B. Now pay attention to how I'm setting up C. Look at the difference on how C is set up and on how B was set up. So C, I'm setting up as the original triangle. And looking at it, they're giving me CB, so this entire side is 12. BE is 8. CD is 6. And DA is what I'm trying to find out. Look at the difference at the setup. They're giving me all of my sides, okay? They're giving me my sides for C. Are they giving me my sides for B? No. They're giving me my sides and my bases. So how would I find out EC? How would I find out this measure right here?
12 minus 8.
Good, 12 minus 8, and what do I get?
3. 4.
Close, yep, 4. Okay, so looking at this, I can use A, the setup of A to solve for C. Why can I use the setup for A? Because they're giving me all my sides. Okay, B was not giving me the sides. B was giving me the sides and my base. So look how I set this up. I am setting it up as, do it in purple. I'm setting this one up as BE over EC is equal to DA over DC. That's how I'm setting it up. I'm not adding the sides. If I were to add the sides, I would have to do cross multiplication, I would have to do distribution, and multiplying and moving stuff to the other side. But look at how easy this is. Plugging in, what's BE or EB? 8 over, what's EC?
4.
Good. 8 over 4 is equal to what's DA? DA. X, and what's DC? 6. I'm going to simplify this. 4 goes into 8 twice. This should be a 6. And X over 6. Now what do I have to do?
Cross multiply.
Good. Cross multiply. X equals.
12.
And I'm done. If I were to add the sides, I could show you that way, but I don't want you to get confused. If I were to add the sides, what would the total of this entire side be?
12.
No. Remember, it's proportional.
8. No.
it would be 6 plus x. And don't forget, you're going to have to distribute for that. Remember, even though it looks like they're equal, we're not dealing with congruency this lesson. We're dealing with proportionality, similarity. Okay, they have this similar scale factor, but the sides are proportion, they're not congruent. They're proportional. Looking at theorem 8.1, 3 parallel lines theorem. We've done parallel lines with the transversal, and it says if 3 lines intersect 2 transversals, then they divide the transversals proportionally. So look at it. Here are my proportions. BC and CD, and AF and FE. Again, you could write this, or you can do it as everything that's here. You can do this side with this side, meaning write it as BC over AF, or you can write it as this one in green, CD over FE or EF. Okay, again, these two are the same if I were to solve. So please understand on how both of these are written, because you're going to have both on the test and on your homework. All right, example number 2. Go ahead and try and solve this one on your own. What I would do is first label. So label what you have. I'm going to do this one. We're going to do blue first for this one. So A is 2, B is 3, C is 5, and I'm solving for D. Go ahead and solve, please. All right, if you set it up as a proportion, 2 ways you can set it up. Either 2 over 3 and 5 over x, or 5 over 2 and x over 3. Any one of these is fine. Okay, why is any one of these fine? When I cross multiply, I'm still going to get 2x equals 5 times 3. 2x equals 15. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 7.5.
Yes.
If you got a decimal, that's fine, or you could leave it as a fraction. All right, B. Since I did A, for those of you who did not do A, you're doing B. Labeling is the first thing. I have 4, 8, 5, and X. Most important for this question is you are not solving for D, you are solving for D plus C. So when you're getting your answer, make sure you plug it in and you're solving for D plus C. That's what you have to solve for. So go ahead and solve that one and then we'll check it. All right, looking at this one, solving it. All right, set it up as a proportion. If you got 10, you just didn't finish reading the directions. And I'm going to tell you right now, checking your tests, a lot of you made that, your quizzes, a lot of you made that mistake. You did not read the directions. So 4 over 8 is proportional to 5 over x. Simplify this, boys. Stop. 1 over 2 equals 5 over x. Cross multiply. Yes, x equals 10. But they didn't ask for 10. It's C, which is 5 plus 10 equals 15 is your answer. All right, last is the last theorem that we're covering, triangle bisector theorem. Please understand, yes, we know what bisector means, cut in half equally, but we're not dealing with congruency. We are dealing with proportionality. So for these, they are proportional. They are not going to be the same measure. So if AD was 4, that doesn't mean DB is also going to be 4. It's proportional. So when you're looking at it for this example, you have AD and DB. Those are proportional. Okay? Also, what's proportional are your sides. CA is proportional to CB. Again, another way you can write this, and you have to know both ways. You can write it as one triangle So I'm going to do this triangle is going to be proportional to my orange triangle. So how I'm writing it is AD over AC. Okay, that's proportional to DB and BC. Okay, those are two ways you can write it that are perfectly fine. You have to, again, know both ways because you will be asked both ways on your test. And you'll probably be given both ways on your homework. So please make sure when you're looking at it, you know both ways. All right, for this example, most thing to keep in mind is this entire side. That's what you're trying to find. So I would label this side as y. So you need to solve for y before you could find x. So go back to the previous theorem and plug it in. No, the answer is not 20 because they are not congruent. They are similar sides. So you need to figure out the similarity. So go ahead and solve it on your own. All right, looking at this question, first thing you should have done was set it up. Two ways you can set it up. 10 over 12 equals y over 24, or you could have done 10 over y equals 12 over 24. Personally, this should be a 24. Personally, this one would have been a little easier. So if you did that one, you definitely had an easier chance getting to y. Simplifying this, you're going to get 1 over 2. So you have 1 over 2 and 10 over y. And then you could have simplified this one to 5 over 6 and y over 24. So this one you're going to have to do a little more work. So if you got it, I know it's lagging, give it a second. If you got it, you should have had y equals 20. If you got 20 for y, they're asking you for the entire side. All you had to do was add 10 plus 20, and your answer was 30. You guys have homework on big ideas, and your test is on Wednesday.